Hello friends, my name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Target MPPSC 2024 by Drishti PCS. So in this episode, we'll be talking about computer and its basics because this is an important section from your exam point of view. There are certain questions which are asked from this particular section. So we'll be having a quick revision of computers and its basics. So let's start with the definition of computer. So when we are talking about the computer is an electronic device which takes input and gives you an output by processing the data. So simply put, we can say that a computer is an electronic device designated to manipulate information or data capable of storing, retrieving and processing the data. So basically it accepts the data as an input, process it, and it will generate result as an output. Okay, so basically here you can see that it is a particularly electronic device which takes data, manipulate it, or you can say arrange it, sort it, do whatever prompts are given to the computer, and then it will generate a result that is basically your output. Okay, so it is an input output device, you can say. A computer along with the additional hardware and software together is called computer system. Okay, so basically when we are talking about the parts of the computer, here you can say there are certain basic parts. One is computer case. So obviously with the name itself, it is clear that whatever is the outer body, or when we are talking about you can say simple computer, that is your monitor, etc., whatever is the outer of that particular computer system, that is basically the computer case. Okay, so here you can say a computer case is a metal or the plastic box that contains the main component of the computer, including the motherboard, central processing unit and power supply. When we are talking about the old computers, or you can say PCs, okay, so there was this monitor. So monitor had its own case, CPU had its own case. Okay, so similarly when we talk about the motherboard and these things, so these motherboard, hard drive, etc., are placed inside CPU earlier. Okay, then comes laptop. Then laptop is a single unit, so you can say that laptop has its own case in which all the CPUs, or you can say processor, hard drives, etc., are put into the case. Okay, so case is basically the outer covering, you can say. The front of the case usually has a on off button and one more optical drive. Okay, so that is there. Coming to the various parts, here you can say monitor. Monitor, with the name you must have seen various monitors. This is the old PC, and then comes the LED, and these are the monitors basically. And when we see the laptops, we have the screen. Okay, so that is altogether different thing. We are talking about the basic parts. Okay, so monitor is basically an output device. How it is an output device? Because it will actually display the data which has been you have put some data, and after that it will display it back to you. So basically it is acting as an output device. So monitor is an output device that displays information being processed in the computer. It is also known as VDU, or visual display unit. Okay, so it displays images and text on the screen. So that is an output device. So this particular information is important for you. Then comes keyboard. A computer keyboard is a input device used to enter characters and the functions. When we use keyboard, what we do is, whenever we have to do or give some kind of prompt or the input to the computer, we will enter it through the keyboard. Okay, so basically keyboard is an input device. Here you can see this is the picture of keyboard. Now moving further, if you see here, that is mouse. Mouse is another important tool for the communicating with the computer. We see, when we see on the screen, there is this particular cursor is there, something like this it will look. Okay, so this cursor is basically a guiding tool. You can use this cursor and click on various applications in the computer. So it is a communicating device. Okay, oh, here it is written that it is a handheld pointing device. Okay, so you will hold it from here and it will directly, or you can say it will direct you to the screen of the computer, and you can use it or navigate it through this handheld pointing device, that is mouse. Okay, now it lets you point to the object on the screen, click on them and move them. Okay, so that is the use of mouse. Now moving further, there are certain components when we are talking, these are the basic components. Then there are certain components which are important for the working as well. Okay, so one is your hardware, then you have software. Okay, when we are talking about the hardware, you can, in the simple language, you can put that whatever physical features are there of the computer which you can touch, these are hardware. Okay, so let's see over here, hardware, these are the physical part of the computer. Okay, so if we see monitor, if we see mouse, if we see CPU, if we see the you can say keyboard, these are all hardwares. Okay, now other than that, there are central processing unit, that is CPU. CPU is considered as the brain of the computer and responsible for the processing instructions. Okay, whatever instructions you are giving, that is going to the CPU. CPU is the brain and it will perform the task. Okay, so that is basically CPU. You can touch the CPU. Okay, so when we see the PCs, you will see that there is a box like structure which is something like this. Okay, so that is basically CPU. You will have a optical drive case over here, and there are some power button which are given over there, and then there are some jacks, audio jacks, etc., which are given. So this is basically, there are USB drives port are also given. So that is CPU. You can touch it. That is why it is a hardware. Okay. Now memory. When we talking about this RAM, that is basically random access memory. We'll talk about that. This is a temporary storage that CPU uses to store and retrieve data quickly. In the CPU, we have this device which is basically RAM. So we can touch it. So that is also a, you can say, hardware. Then storage, where data is stored for long term, such as hard disk drive. Okay, that is your HDDs. Then solid state drives, that is SSDs, and external storage drives, like if you have you can say USB or memory card, etc. These are also the devices which you can touch. So these are also your you can say hard drives or hardwares. Okay. Then motherboard. Motherboard is basically the main circuit board that connects all the components. Okay. So motherboard is basically, you can say, which control everything. All the functioning is basically depends on the motherboard, because it will connect all the components. Okay. So that is basically your hardwares. Other than that, also we have input device and output device. These are also hardware. As I told you, when we are talking about the basic parts, we have seen that there is keyboard. Okay, there is keyboard. Then we have mouse. Okay, then scanners. These are input devices. So these are also hardwares. Then output devices such as monitors, printer, and speaker. These are output devices, and these are basically your hardwares. Okay, so basically here you can see these are part of computers, and here this is monitor. This is the computer case. Okay, then we have this keyboard, we have processor. Motherboard is looks something like this. This is a circuit, or you can say it is housing various circuits over there. Then this is RAM, this is hard drive, that is HDD. Okay, these are printers, mouse. All these are the basic components and the hardwares. Okay. Now coming to the next part, that is basically software. Okay, now software are nothing but the programs. Okay, here you can see programs and the operating systems that run the hardware. Now hardware is the physical part. Okay, for that to run or for that to perform, there should be an instruction which should be there. Okay, that instructions are basically software. Okay, instruction says that if you are provided with, let's say, this particular amount of data and how you have to process it. Let's say you have given the computer that 2 plus 2. Okay, so it will give you 4, and that 4 is given by you because there is a program which is saying it to give 4. Okay, so that these are basically your software. Okay, there are several type of software. One is system software, second is operating software, and third are application software. When we are talking about this system software, these are the basic ones which are imbibed in the PC. Okay, which are imbibed in the computer itself. Okay, here you can see it includes the operating systems, utility programs that help manage the computer resources. When you open the computer, you start the computer, there are certain programs which are already there, which are there by the which are given by the company itself. Okay, now these are the programs which are system softwares. Okay, which is necessary for your computer to run. Okay, then comes the operating system. Now system software has various programs. One of them is operating system. These operating systems are basically the main software which is running a computer. Okay, so let's say you open a computer, and then there is this you can say Windows which is coming in front of you. That is basically an operating software which is operating the computer over there. Okay, so here you can see the main software that manages hardware and software resources are basically Windows, Mac OS. If you have MacBook, etc., then you have OS in that, that is Mac OS. Then you have Linux, you have Android, there are Ubuntu, etc. There are various operating systems which are available in the market. Okay, so these are the examples which you can remember. Okay, coming to the next part, that is application softwares. Application softwares are something which you are installing in it for your own use. Okay, let's say you have taken a laptop. Okay, in laptop there is Windows is available, and then for your own use you require a window, or you can say video player. Okay, so you have installed VLC. Now VLC is basically an application software. Okay, so that is the example of you can say application software. Other than that, if you are going for gaming, so the game softwares are your application software. Word processors are application software. Web browsers are application software, just as Google Chrome, etc. These are application software. Okay, so this difference is clear. One is system software, which is including your operating system, that is which are essential for the operation of the, you can say, monitor, or I mean the computer. or the laptop. Okay, then comes the application software. These are on the convenience of the user. If we need it, we can download it. If we don't need it, without that also the computer can run. Okay, so that is basically your software. Okay, now type of computers, if we see, so there are certain personal computers are there, then there are servers, there are mainframes, then there are supercomputers. Now when we are talking about these personal computers, you know that these are for the individual use. Okay, so these are basically desktops and laptops. These are general purpose computers. Okay, so that is basically if you are using at your home, your offices, these are your personal computers. Okay, desktops and laptops. Then comes servers. Now these servers are basically nothing but the network. Okay, computer designed to manage network resources and provide service to other computers over a network. Okay, now let's say if you are working in an office space, okay, and you have to make some content, and that is to be shared with everyone. Now you will not take it in the pen drive and give it to everyone. So that is why we are having a server or a network over there. So basically all the computers which are there in the office, they are connected through some kind of you can say network, and that network is basically a server. Okay, then mainframes. These are large powerful systems used by organization for bulk data processing and large scale transactions. Okay, now these servers, just for an example for you to understand better, now servers are there for a small office space. For a bigger of organization or you can say if organization is too big to handle, and in that case you are having these mainframe computers. These are having larger capacities, they are larger in size. Okay, there are powerful systems which are used by the organizations to share the data, or the to keep a track on the transactions. Okay, or to process the data. Okay, now when we are talking about the server, this is mostly for the sharing of the data. Now when we talk about mainframes, that can be used for the processing of the data as well. Okay, now supercomputers. Supercomputers, with the name itself, it is clear that these are having you can say some kind of exceptional computation capacities. Okay, now extremely fast computers, they are used for complex scientific calculations and the simulations. Okay, so supercomputers are used in the you can say weather forecasting, etc. So these are the computers which are having a high capacity, which are doing many calculations at the same time. So these are called supercomputers. Okay, now moving further, these are the types. You can say these are the oldest. The microcomputers were there, then mini computers came, then these are the personal computers. These you can say, other than that there is desktop, then we have laptops. Okay, these are the mainframes computer. You can see the kind of CPUs they are having. This is huge because they need such kind of processing powers. Okay, then here you can see these are laptops, tablets, smartphones. These phones, smartphones, your digital watch, all these things are basically computers. Okay, then you have supercomputers. Okay, now coming to the next part, basically we'll talk about the computer memory. All these things which we have talked about, like whatever is the you can say capacity, etc., these all things are related to memory somewhere, because memory is the part where you will store your data. Okay, now computer memory refers to a component that stores data and the programs. Okay, either temporarily or permanently. Okay, memory can be broadly divided into two parts, that is, one is your primary memory, second is your secondary memory. Okay, so memory is something which will store your data, it will store your programs in the computer. It is having two parts, one is primary and second is secondary. Okay, so when we are talking about the primary, we have RAM, then we have ROM. Okay, RAM is random access memory, ROM is read only memory. We'll talk about that. So here you can see primary memory, it is the main memory of the computer. Okay, this is the important and the main memory of the computer. It includes RAM, that is random access memory. This is volatile in nature. What it means that whenever you are working on a computer, you are working on RAM. Okay, and now suddenly the electricity is gone, your computer has switched off, you did not save the data. Now that data will be lost. Okay, so in that case, such memory is called random access memory. Okay, then if you have saved the data, okay, so then it will be there in the memory. Okay, so data is lost when the power is turned off. Now read only memory, this is non-volatile in nature and retains data even when the power is turned off. Now this is the you can say memory in which softwares are basically installed. Okay, or let's say your OS, etc., they are all part of the read only memory. Okay, so let's say your Windows is there. Okay, there is a VLC media player which you have installed in it. Okay, now the electricity is gone, now your laptop was not charged and it got switched off. Okay, now you open the laptop again, you will find that VLC is still there in the memory. Okay, so that is because it is part of the non volatile memory. Now there are certain types. One is PROM or the programmable ROM. Now when we are talking about the programmable ROM, it is programmed once. Okay, so here you can say that it can be programmed once only. Then comes EPROM, that is erasable programmable ROMs. So since it is erasable, it can be erased. Okay, it can be erased and reprogrammed. Okay, it will be erased by UV lights. When there will be an interference, you can say interface or the exposure with the UV lights, it will erase the memory and then you can reprogram it. Okay, then EEPROM, that is electrically erasable programmable ROM. Okay, so since here we have seen that by the interface of the you can say UV light, or you can say with the use of the UV light, you can erase the program in the EPROM. In the EEPROM, you can electrically you can say remove the data. Here you can see it can be erased and reprogrammed multiple times using the electrical charges. Okay, so you can do it again and again. Okay, so now moving further, secondary memory. Okay, so we have seen that primary memory is the main memory. Now comes the secondary memory. Secondary memory is something which is detachable. Okay, so when we are talking about this hard disk drives, okay, used magnetic storage to store the and retrieve the data. Okay, magnetic storage they are using over here. This is something where you will save your files. Okay, you are working here and you will save your file in this particular memory, that is your hard drive or the hard disk memories. Okay, these use magnetic storage to store and retrieve the files. It consists of one or more rotating disk platters coated with the magnetic material. Now second comes the SSD or the solid state drives. These are similar to that, but these are faster. Okay, these are using the flash memories to store the data. Okay, so I'll see tell you the small difference over here, that if you have HSD, so if you start the laptop with HSD, it will take a certain amount of time to open. Okay, when you come with the SSDs, it will take fractions of second, or it will take seconds to start the computer device. Okay, so you can say that SSDs are faster. SSDs are faster than HDD. Okay, now here you can say optical discs, CDs, DVDs, these are also external devices on which you can say store the memories. Okay, so these are optical devices. Then comes the USB flash drives. So you must have used pen drives, etc. These are USB pen drives, or you can say flash memories. These are portable and common transferring data between computers. Okay, now memory cards, you must have used SD cards, etc. These are memory cards. Okay, so these are used in the devices like camera, smartphones, gaming, etc. Okay, now moving further, that is the evolution of computers. Okay, now they will ask you direct question in that, like Abacus belongs to which category, or which was the first programmable device, etc. Okay, so early mechanical and the electromechanical devices. Let's talk about pre 20th century. We had this Abacus. This is age old device. Okay, this is a normal mechanical device. Abacus, it is an ancient tool used for arithmetic calculations dating back to 2000 BC. Okay, so you can see that how old is that Abacus. Okay, second is Charles Babbage analytical engine, 1837. So Charles Babbage was the person who has come up with the analytical engine, 1837. It is often considered as the first concept of the general purpose computer. It was mechanical device designed to perform any mathematical calculation. So again, it was for the mathematical calculation. Here you can see that these are right now, these are doing only the mathematical calculations. Okay, when we are talking about the Abacus, that is also for the arithmetic calculations. It is also doing the mathematical calculations. Now moving further, you will see Ada Lovelace worked with Babbage and is credited with the writing first algorithm intended for machine, making her world's first computer programmer. Okay, so she was world's first computer programmer. Okay, Ada Lovelace. Then early 20th century we see, so there are these electromechanical component computers, machines like Zuse Z3, that is 1941, then Harvard Mark I, that is 1944. These are relied on, or you can say these are the mechanical switches were there to perform the you can say calculations over there. Okay, so again these are also doing some small calculation at that point of time. Now coming to the next part, that is basically the first generation computers over here. Okay, now these computers came in 1940 to 1956 somewhere, and these are based on the vacuum tube technologies. You don't have to go into details of what is vacuum tube technology, etc. Just know that these are computers which are very big in size. Okay, technologies used here, vacuum tubes were used as the primary technology for circuitry, and magnetic drums for the memory. Now there was magnetic drums when we see the optical drives like CD, etc. So these are optical discs. at that point of time they used to use a magnetic drum, okay, but both concept is similar. They are optical or the magnetic drives, and these are also drums which are used, okay. With the technology enhancement, they have reduced the size to a disc. Earlier they used to have a drum, okay. Now vacuum tubes, when you see the circuit, okay, when you see the motherboard, etc., so there are, you know, circuits which are built over there. These circuits are basically, earlier for the circuitry they have used the vacuum tubes, okay. Again, so you don't have to go into details of that, just know that earlier for circuitry they have used vacuum tubes and magnetic drums for the memory, okay, for the first generation you can say computers. Now ENIAC and UNIVAC 1 was the example. Now please remember these examples, that is very much important for you, because they can directly ask. UNIAC and you can say ENIAC and UNIAC 1 are examples of first generation, second generation, third generation, like that, okay. Now characteristics, these computers were large, expensive and consumed a lot of power. They were mainly used for the scientific calculation and the military purposes. Now the use of computer is changing with the first generation computers. Now we are using it for the, you can say, scientific calculations as well as the military purposes also, okay. Input and output, there are punched cards and the paper tape for the input and printouts for the output, okay. So that is about the first generation. Now coming to the second one, that is second generation computer, that came with the use of transistors, okay. In 1956 to 1963, that was the time when we started using transistors. Transistors replaced the vacuum tube, making smaller, faster and more reliable and more energy efficient computers, okay. IBM 7090, CDC 1604, these are the example of your second generation computers. Now what are the characteristics? These are having enhanced computational speed and reliability. Now simple it is that these are faster, these are smaller, so more reliable and more you know, good capacity they had, okay. Used magnetic core memories and introduced high level programming languages like Fortran and COBOL. Now we have seen that there was Lovelace who was the first programmer, and afterwards here you can see that now people are going into the core programming, okay. So these COBOL and Fortran, these are, you know, among the, you can say, earliest programming languages, okay. Now application, business applications including the payroll, processing, inventory management, etc. Now their use has increased to the business management as well, okay. Now coming to the third generation, okay, 1964 to 1971. Now this is the time we have come up with the integrated circuits or ICs, okay. Now ICs or integrated circuits combine multiple transistors into a single chip, okay. So earlier there were transistors which has replaced the vacuum tube. Now these transistors are placed on a chip, single chip, okay. That made it more, you can say, the speed wise it was more reliable, it was more faster. So that is the use of ICs, okay. On the IC you can say there was a single chip on which these transistors are placed, okay. So these transistors placed into a single chip drastically reduce the size and cost while increasing the speed and efficiencies. Now examples are IBM system 360 or PDP-8. Characteristics, introduction of the operating systems and the multi-processing capabilities. Now this is the time we have started to come up with the ideas of operating systems, okay. And this is the time from which this revolution has started. The operating system has started to grow at a very fast pace afterwards, okay. Now computers becomes more accessible to businesses and the smaller organizations. Application, because these are becoming cheaper now, these are becoming more portable now, so that is why they business organizations are also using them. Application, data management, complex calculations and early software development that has started at that point of time, because we have come up with the language in the last phase, okay. Now fourth generation, this is the time you can see microprocessors were there. Microprocessor, with the name it is clear that they are micro in size or the smaller in size and the higher in the capacity of the processing, okay. So these microprocessors are used in the, you can say, computers. Microprocessor incorporate thousands of the integrated circuits, okay. First there were vacuum tubes, after that we have come up with the transistors. Now transistor, many transistors, okay, you can say more than one transistors were there on the ICs, that is integrated circuits, and now thousands of the ICs were placed on a microprocessor, okay. And that is why the size became even more smaller and the speed became even more faster, okay. So computing capacities, or you can say the capacity of a computer, enhanced a lot at that point of time. Now Intel 4004. Now you go to a computer shop and you are trying to buy a computer over there, you will ask what kind of processor does it has, okay. So one of them is, one of the prominent company over here is that Intel, okay. So they have come up with the Intel 4004, Apple II, IBM PC, etc. at that point of time. These are all example of these you can say microprocessor related computers, or you can say 4th generation computers. Characteristics: birth of personal computers, graphical users interface was there, GUIs were there, and the development of the computer networks. Okay, then the rise of software application from that point of time, such as word processor, spreadsheet, datasheet, etc. Application, home and the office computing, education, entertainment, and the internet. Now from earlier, from the mathematical calculations, then it came to the scientific calculations, then it came to the business, and now it is coming to the other fields like entertainment, internet, education, etc. Okay, now coming to the next one, that is basically your 5th generation, or the present and beyond. These are basically your AI and beyond computers. The focus here is on artificial intelligence, or the use of artificial intelligence over here, machine learning, natural language processing, quantum computing, advanced parallel processing, etc. These are the terms which are used. We will talk about what is AI, we will talk about what is quantum computing, we will see what is machine language. But the thing is, now we are using the the more and more technology in this particular thing. Now these are the new and the current edge technologies which are used in the computers. Now you must be seeing the Chat GPT, etc. These are tools of AI which are being used in the today's computers. Okay, now IBM Watson, Google DeepMind, quantum computers, these are the examples. Here you can say use of AI to perform tasks required human intelligence, advanced data analytics, and the real-time processing. The potential for unprecedented computational powers with quantum computing. Applications are autonomous system, big data analysis, AI driven applications, and advanced simulations, and more. Okay, so here we can see, when we are talking about this 5th generation, so we can say that the applications are enormous. These applications are in every field, so we cannot just name few over here. Okay, now moving to the next part, key milestone in the computer history, which we have already talked about. We will just go through it. 1837, Charles Babbage designed an analytical engine, a mechanical general purpose computer, which we have already seen. Then 1936, Alan Turing introduced the concept of theoretical Turing machine. Okay, so this is also a type of machine, or you can say computer at that point of time. Then 1943 to 1944, the Colossus, the world's first programmable digital computer, that was developed at that point of time. Then 1947, invention of the transistor by the Bell Labs. Okay, that has revolutionized the electronic circuits. After that, we have come up with the ICs, then all these things which we have discussed, then microprocessors. Then 1958, there is this Jack Kilby and the Robert Noyce independently developed integrated circuit. Okay, so transistor we have seen, now integrated circuits. Then in 1971, Intel released the 4004 microprocessor. The first commercially available microprocessor was there, that is 4004. We have already talked about that. Then 1981, IBM introduced first personal computer, that is IBM PC. That is the first personal computer. Okay, then in 1991, World Wide Web, WWW, is launched by the public by Tim Berners-Lee. Okay, so that is the time from where we have come to use the internet, etc. Then 2000s, the rise of smartphones and the mobile computing begin, and 2010s, the growth of cloud computing, big data analytics, and the internet of things started by 2010. Okay, so that is about the, you can say, landmarks in the computer's history. Now peripherals you can use with the computer. We have talked about software, we have talked about hardware, we have talked about the memory, we have talked about the evolution. There are certain peripherals which you can use, that is printer. Printer will be an output device. Printer is used to print the document, photos, anything else that appears on the screen. There are many type of printers, including inkjet, laser, photo printers. There are even all-in-one printers which are available. Okay, now scanners allow you to copy a physical image or document, that save it to your computer in a digital form. Okay, so there is this particular document, we will put it in the scanner, then it will be saved in your computer. So that is scanner. Okay, so you can say scanner is an input device, printer is an output device. There are devices which are having printer as well as scanner. Okay, now moving further, that is we will talk about the recent technologies, etc. We will starting with the supercomputers. Okay, so when we talk about these supercomputers here, what is a supercomputer? With the name it is clear that it will have a very fast computing processing power, etc. So here you can say a computer is a computer that performs, supercomputer is a computer that performs or near the currently highest operational rate. Okay, so it is performing at or near the currently highest operating or the operational rate of the computers. Okay, So basically here you can see that simply processing power and the capacity is enhanced many times. Okay, generally petaflop is basically a unit which is measuring the speed of a supercomputer or computer. Okay, so it can be expressed as the thousands trillions floating points operational per second. Okay, now when we are talking about this floating point operation per second, that is basically flops. Okay, so these flops are basically nothing but in which you will measure the performance of a computer. Okay, you are measuring a performance of a computer in flops, and in petaflops you are measuring the performance of a supercomputer. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now moving further, here you can see supercomputers in India. In India, supercomputer program started way back in 1980s because Cray supercomputers could not be imported into India due to the arms embargo which was imposed on India, and it was dual use technology and could be used for the developing nuclear weapon as well. Okay, so at that point of time there was this arms embargo on our country, and because of which these particular, when we are talking about this Cray supercomputer, that can also be used for preparing a nuclear weapon, so that is why that could not be imported in India. Okay, this led to setting up of a center for development of advanced computing, that is CDAC. It is also there. So this is important organization when we are talking about the supercomputing. Okay, so Center for Development of the Advanced Computing, that is CDAC, in March 1988 with the clear mandate to develop an indigenous supercomputer to meet high speed computational requirements. Okay, so that is their CDAC, please remember this. Okay, after that what happens? Param 8000. Now it is India's first supercomputer. It was indigenously developed by in 1991 by CDAC. Okay, then came Param Shivai. It was the first supercomputer assembled indigenously and was installed in IIT BHU, followed by the Param Shakti, then Param Brahma, Param Yukti, Param Sanganak. All these things are there in IIT Kharagpur. Then IISER Pune, and all these institutions are there. They are respectively installed over there. Okay, now you have to remember just the names. Okay, just know that these Param 8000 is Param Shivai, and then Param Shakti, Param Brahma, Param Yukti, Param Sanganak. These are all kind of you can say supercomputers. Okay, this is important for you. Param 8000, this was the first supercomputer which was developed by CDAC. Then comes Pratyush. It is a Cray XC40 system, an array of computers that can deliver a peak of 6.8 petaflops. As I told you, petaflop is a unit which is used to measure the computing capacity of a supercomputer. Okay, so Pratyush is a supercomputer which is basically giving you a peak power of 6.8 petaflops, installed at the Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, that is IITM Pune, and it is the fastest supercomputer in India as of now, that is Pratyush. So you can remember this name, that is Pratyush. Now moving further, here you can say there are certain IT projects, or you can say when we are talking about National Supercomputing Mission, we have a National Supercomputing Mission which started in 2015. In 2015, National Supercomputing Mission was launched to enhance the research capacities and capabilities in the country by connecting them to form supercomputing grid with National Knowledge Network as backbone. Okay, so they are basically nothing but they're basically some kind of R&D and the development in the supercomputer sector. Okay, so they are to enhance the research capacity. Okay, and they will be using this supercomputing grid and the National Knowledge Network, which is as a backbone of this particular project. The mission was planned in 3 phases. There will be 3 phases. One phase will be related to the assembling the supercomputers in India. Second phase will be the manufacturing the certain components of the supercomputers in India. Third will be to manufacture the supercomputer or designing it in India. Okay, so basically what we are showing that first we will assemble, we will basically go for the assembling of the supercomputer, then we will go for the manufacturing of certain parts, then we will go for the designing of the supercomputers itself in India. Okay, so these are the 3 parts of this particular mission. Object is clear, to go for R&D in the supercomputing. Okay, now moving further, here you can see the first supercomputer was designed and built under the build approach of National Supercomputing Mission NSM by CDAC at Indian Institute of Technology BHU, that is Varanasi. It was named as Param Shivai. Okay, so Param Shivai, the supercomputer, was more than 1,20,000 computer cores, CPU plus GPU cores, to offer a peak computing power of 833 teraflops. Okay, so that is the power over here, and when we are talking about the cores which are used in the computer, that is more than 1,20,000. Okay, and other installed supercomputer in India are Param Pravega, Param Utkarsh, then Param Ananta, Param Himalaya. All these are the name which you can remember. Okay, so if there is a name which is saying that Param, so basically it is a supercomputer. If there is a name which is saying Pratyush, that is also a supercomputer, so you can remember that. Okay, now there are certain advancements and the trends which are going on in the current scenario. We will talk about that. One is artificial intelligence. Okay, artificial intelligence is something imparting intelligence to the machine or the computer so that they can do certain jobs which are done by the humans. Okay, so here you can see AI refers to the development of a computer system that can perform tasks typically require human intelligence. Okay, there are certain tasks which are basically done by humans because of their intelligence. Okay, so let's say if you are given with the 10 documents and now you have to sort this document as per the let's say amount of, or the you can say values of the let's say 10 items which are given in each document. Okay, one is having 10,000, second is having 50,000, and similarly and so on. Now you have to arrange it in the order of their values. Okay, so now earlier a computer could not do it because you have to give this data to them, and then that there are certain prompts which has to be given. Now this intelligence is imparted to the computer. Okay, so now artificial intelligence, this is the very basic example we are talking about. Then when we are talking about the current you can say artificial intelligence, you can go to ChatGPT, you can type that give me the latest data about certain things. You can give them a prompt that give me you can say draft for a particular document. So all these things are there. Okay, so that kind of intelligence has been imparted to the artificial intelligence. Okay, best example right now which is coming to my mind is ChatGPT, and there are other than that also. When we are talking about the AI, there are AI anchors are also there. Recently that the AI anchor Sana, which has been launched in 2023. So these are the applications of the AI wherein human intelligence or the work which required the human intelligence is being done by the computers. Okay, so that is basically AI. AI refers to the development of the computer system that can perform tasks and typically require human intelligence. The ideal characteristics of an AI is ability to rationalize and take action. Okay, the ability to rationalize here means that, as I told you, there are these documents and I told them to sort it. Now this is your rationality and you will decide that how to sort it. Okay, so that is the ability to rationalize and take actions that have the best chance of achieving a specific goal. Okay, now a subset of AI is machine learning. Now machine learning is the process, or you can say when we are talking about the computers, that computers have a language on the basis of which they will perform. Now in that particular language you have to communicate to the computer certain kind of job if computer has to do. Let's say if you want to perform a computer for an addition 2 plus 2. So earlier there was a program which has been made in a certain way by a particular programming language, and now computer understands that, then if 2 plus 2 is given, they will give you the answer 4. Okay, now you can say when we are talking about the AI, such capacity to learn by themselves, it is basically given in the you can say in the artificial intelligence, and machine learning is also part of it. Okay, so you can say this is a subset of basically artificial intelligence. Now deep learning techniques enables the automatic learning through the absorption of the huge amount of unstructured data. Now machine learning, and then comes the deep learning. Deep learning is basically wherein you have given a lot of data to the artificial intelligence or the machine, and now on the basis of that particular data, machine is learning itself. Okay, so that is basically deep learning. Okay, so because we have imparted a kind of intelligence to the computer. Now second comes the quantum computing. Now when we are talking about this quantum computing, this is basically a computing by a very high speed. Okay, when we talk about the traditional computers, they work on a bits. Okay, you must have heard about these bits, that there are 0 and 1. Okay, so every action either will be 0 and there will be 1, that has will be an input and output. Okay, so these normal traditional computers will be working on the 0 and 1, that is called bits. Okay, so these are the measure when we are talking about the computers, that is bits. Then when we are talking about the bytes, these computers, so they work on qubits. Okay, qubits. Now why qubits? Because quantum bits over here. Okay, when we talk about the you can say working of, or you can say physical working of an element or an atom at a very small level. Okay, so there are matter can either be light, or either can be a matter, but the thing a light or a particle. But the thing is, when we are talking about the quantum mechanics, there are certain phenomena which says that light can at the same time be a particle as well as a wave. Okay, it can be energy as well as a particle. Okay, so basically that is the phenomena of quantum mechanics. You don't have to go into details of it, but the thing is they are actually observing the nature of a particle at a very small size. Okay, so that is quantum mechanics. Okay, now they have used this quantum mechanics in the computing as well. Okay, so earlier that was 0 and 1. Now when we are talking about the bits, it can be 0, it can be 1, or at the same time it can be both. Okay, now since it is 0, 1 and both, there are only two possibilities. Okay, and there are various possibilities which opens, and because of these particular various possibilities which are there, the computing capacity can be increased. Okay, so now they are using this particular mechanics or this idea of quantum mechanics in the computing. Okay, so that is why this is quantum computing and this is very faster. Okay, you don't have to go into the details of this thing. Just know that quantum computing is a technology based on the principle of the quantum mechanics that was developed in the early 20th century to describe nature in a small at the scale of the atoms and the elementary particles. So basically they are talking about the atoms, electrons, proton, their elementary nature at that at such scale they are talking about. It provides the foundation of our understanding of the physical world, including the interaction of light and the matter. They will see how the particle is behaving at a particular you can say in a particular size. Okay, quantum computers compute in qubits or quantum bits. Okay, so which we have already discussed. In normal computers it is bit, that is 0 or 1, or on and off you can say. Then when we are talking about the qubits, that is 0, 1 or both. Okay, so these both condition of both, that is called quantum entanglement, quantum superimposition, all these things are there, but you don't have to go into all these things. Now moving further, that is cloud computing. It is the delivery of different services through the internet. These resources include tools and applications like data storage, server, database, networking and software. Rather than keeping files on the proprietary hard drive or the local storage drive, cloud-based storage makes it possible to save them to a remote database. Okay, now cloud computing, or you can say cloud computing or the cloud storage, is nothing but when you are working on a computer, you store your data on the computer, or you will store it on a pen drive or a hard drive. But when we are talking about the cloud computing, we are uploading it to a server, okay, on internet. So as far as you will have the internet, this data will be available to you. Okay, so you can access this data from everywhere. Okay, anywhere in the world. If you have a computer, if you have the internet, you can access the data. Okay, so basically to store a data on an outside server is basically your cloud computing. Okay, so as long as electronic devices has access to the web or the internet, access to the data can be, or the data can be accessed from anywhere. Okay, so here you can see that there are different services like storage, servers, database, etc., which are used in quantum computing. Rather than keeping files on the proprietary hard drives or the local storage, you will go for a remote database. Okay, now moving further, Internet of Things. Okay, so this is also a concept which is you can say use of computers in the, or the internet in the physical world. Okay, so let's say you are at your home, okay, and you went out, your mobile is with you and you left the periphery. Let's say this is your home and this is the radius, that is of some 500 meters, and your phone has a location, your home has some kind of system or a computer which is enabled with the location over there. Now you have left the 500 meters radius. Now this home will lock itself. It will switch off all the lights in that. It will switch off the AC. All these things, if you are able to do with use of internet, that is basically Internet of Things. So basically what is happening over here is that your physical devices or your physical world is basically controlled by the internet. Okay, so that is basically Internet of Things. Okay, now let's see. It is a computing concept that describes the idea of everyday physical objects being connected to the internet and being able to identify themselves to the other devices. The other devices here is the phone. Okay, so this, with the help of the phone, you are able to, you can say, control these you can say physical objects of the house. It is being used to create smart infrastructure in various verticals like power, automotive, safety and surveillances, remote health management, agriculture, smart homes, smart cities, etc. Okay, so in agriculture for the irrigation purpose, etc., that can be used for the power. If we see to cut the supply at a particular point of time, if there is a surplus that can be transferred to somewhere else, all these things can be done with the help of Internet of Things. Okay, Now moving further, cyber crimes. Okay, now we are living in a world, there are computers are very important for us, and now if computer is used for any kind of crime which has been committed by the computer, okay, by the user using the computer as an object, okay, such crimes are basically cyber crimes. Okay, it is defined as the crime where the computer is the object of the crime or is used as a tool to commit the offense. Cyber crimes falls under the state subject that is given in the 7th schedule of the constitution. Okay, so this is the state subject. Okay, it involves illegal and unauthorized activities that exploit technology to commit various forms of the crime. Cyber crimes covers wide range of the offenses that can affect individual, organization, and even governments. Okay, so you must have heard about the cyber attacks. Okay, you must have heard about the Pegasus, you must have heard about the ransomware, etc. So these are all forms of the cyber attacks. We will talk about certain of them, that distributed denial of service. Okay, DDoS. Okay, so basically these are the attacks. These are used to make an online server unavailable or take network down. Okay, basically in what happens in this particular case is that, let's say there is a server, or you can say there is a website. Now you have put a request over there and they will respond you to it. Okay, so this is how most of the websites are working. But if a person is making lakhs of requests in a very short time, then server won't be able to respond to all these requests, and because of which they will have to either take down the website, or they will have to or you can say that will start hacking, or the server will go down. Okay, so that is basically, that is done intentionally by certain actors. They have given thousands or the lakhs of the request at the a particular point of time, then it will go down. Okay, let's say for a simple example, MPPCS results are announced. Everyone is using the site of MPPCS. Now MPPCS has the capacity to cater to that particular you can say audience at that point of time, or you can say at that particular number of users at that point of time, and that is why that site is working. If let's say it is not able to take all those requests at that point of time, you will say that server is down. Okay, that server down is the thing which happens here, but someone is doing it here intentionally with the aim of taking it down. Okay, so that is a crime over here. Then botnets. The botnets are networks from the compromised computers that are controlled externally by the remote hackers. The remote hackers then send spam attack or attack the other computers through the botnets. Now what happens is that there is a network of compromised computers. Okay, there is some malware which has been sent to a particular network. Okay, and that network has been compromised. Okay, it is hacked, and now this hacked network is sending requests to various other users. Okay, and now these users request, or you can say since these networks are there, okay, and they are sending the request, there are many people who falls into the traps, and ultimately their data is also compromised. Okay, so this bot network is called as you can say this is called as bot network or the botnets, wherein the compromised network is basically sending, or you can say remote hackers which has taken the control of this compromised network, they are utilizing it for sending spam or attack other computers through this particular network. Now identity theft. Okay, so these cyber crimes occurs when the criminal gains access to the user's personal information or the confidential information, then try to tarnish the reputation. Okay, so let's say someone has hacked your, you can say mobile or the personal data, and now they are using this information, personal information, against you, and they are trying to, you can say, blackmail you or something. So that is basically your identity theft, because they are using the personal information. Okay, now moving further, here you can say cyber stalking. This kind of cyber crime involve the harassment where user is subjected to a plethora of online messages and email. Typically cyber stalkers are there on the social media, websites, search engines, etc. So basically if someone is there sending you a lot of messages, they are trying to threatening you, all these things are part of your cyber stalking. Or someone is continuously monitoring you for some false intentions, that is basically cyber stalking. Now phishing. It is a type of social engineering attacks that used to steal users' data, including login credentials, credit card numbers, etc. It occurs when an attacker, pretending to be a trusted entity, dupes victims into opening an email and instant message, text, etc. So now what is happening in the phishing is that you have got an email. Okay, now email says that there is a link, or you can say Facebook has required you to take an action, or Facebook has required you to change your password because your security has been compromised. That is the mail. Okay, and they have said that to change your password, please click on the link given below, that is facebook.com. Now this is not facebook.com, this is facebook.com. Okay, but in the hurry, if you don't see it and you click on this particular credential, it will open a site which will look like Facebook, and you will enter your data over there, login credential over there. It will not go to the Facebook, it will go to the person who has sent you the mail. Okay, and with that he will have the personal information, or you can say he will have the credentials of the Facebook with you, and he will hack your Facebook and he can utilize it for the, you can say, other criminal purposes. Okay, so that is basically your phishing. So you are advised not to open mails from an unidentified sender. Okay, so that is about this particular topic over here. Now that was the wrap up of this session. Okay, and this is the last episode when we are talking about this particular series. With that, I would like to take your leave now. Thank you. Have a good day.
डियर व्यूअर्स, अपने एग्जाम की तैयारी को और बेहतर करने के लिए हमारे चैनल को लाइक, शेयर और सब्सक्राइब करना न भूलें।